Welcome everyone to the Virtual College Exploration for all North Carolina and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolina Association of the Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and StriveScan. So thank you for joining us. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one out of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at CACRAO.org. That's CACRAO.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week on the same website, CACRAO.org. So feel free to check it out then. Now I'd like to turn it over to our presenters. Enjoy.
Okay, hi everyone. I assume, yep, I'm off mute. You always got to make sure you're off mute when you're using Zoom. Easy to forget. Just want to welcome you all to our session, Meet the Pennsylvania Publics. We have 3 of our state-related Pennsylvania public colleges and universities here today to give you some information. We have, of course, Penn State University, Temple University, and University of Pittsburgh. And just to give you an idea, in case you're not familiar with where we are all located, I just want to put this little map up here for you so you can see North and South Carolina, and we are all located, of course, in Pennsylvania, hence why the presentation is called Meet the Pennsylvania Publics. But you can see where we are within the state. We have University of Pittsburgh, which is in the western side of the state, on the border, close to the border of Ohio, about an hour away. We have Penn State University there more in the middle, and then we have Temple University, which is in Philadelphia, closer to the other side of the state. So sometimes people always get confused with how big the state of Pennsylvania is. From Pitt to Temple, it's probably about a 7 or 8 hour drive. So the state of Pennsylvania is pretty large. Just to give you a close up there where we are located in the state. And I'll go ahead and have each of our panelists introduce themselves. Go ahead, Jordan.
All righty, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jordan Garrigan. I am the admissions counselor and recruiter for your area. That is our logo there, and then that is my email. If you have any questions about Penn State in general, I'm happy to help answer those questions. I am also a Penn State alumni, so I graduated from Penn State in 2016. So if you have any questions about student life, I guess 2016 wasn't too long ago, but it might be. You can feel free to ask those questions as well in the Q&A chat box. I will turn it over to Trevor from Temple.
Thanks, Jordan. My name is Trevor Diamond. Hi, everyone. I am a first-year admissions counselor at Temple University. I work with students in North and South Carolina as well as New England. My email is very easy. It's just trevor.diamond@temple.edu. And I always think that no question is small during this process. So if it's a question about Temple, if it's a question about our application process, I am always happy to help. Now, I will let Carrie introduce herself.
Thanks. My name is Carrie Meeks Griffin. I am the representative for North and South Carolina and Tennessee for the University of Pittsburgh. I am a 2-time Pitt alum, graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Rhetoric, and also have a master's from Pitt's School of Social Work, one of the top programs in the country. So I always like to give that a little shout out. And we're going to go through and take about 10 minutes for each of us to give you a little overview of our institutions. And then we'll open it up for questions. Feel free to post your questions in the Q&A. If they're for all of us, make sure to let us know, hey, it's for all of you. But if it's for a specific institution, just make sure to let us know that. So Jordan, go ahead and take it away.
All right. This presentation sometimes gets longer than expected, so I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible, y'all. So starting off, just Penn State in general, giving you a little bit of insight on Penn State. We are a top 1% world-class university, so we are ranked in the top 50th of 18,000 universities globally. One really unique thing about Penn State is we are a Research 1 institution, so we do offer undergraduate research for students. So if you are interested in research, there's a super big money number at the bottom there that is allotted for all of our undergraduate students. So any research that you're interested in, really, really awesome opportunity for you. Another thing, academically, we are a very large institution. We have about 46,000 students just at that University Park campus alone. So a lot of students will say like, well, will I have access to faculty members? The answer is absolutely yes. We do have a 16-to-1 student to faculty ratio. And this is because our faculty are able to have office hours. So you are able to access those office hours. I know when I was a student, I went into office hours more times than I should have. And the professors were probably like, get out of here. You don't need to be here. So yeah, obviously use those to your advantage and take lots of time working with those professors because they're really incredible. Some things that people don't really know about Penn State, we do have 20 different campuses across the state of Pennsylvania. University Park, like I mentioned, is our largest. It is right in the middle there. But we also have 19 other ones if you wanted to choose from those 19 other ones. Completely up to you how you want to structure your education, just letting you all know that there are other options there as well. We have lots of different academic programs for you to get involved in. You can get involved in something like the engineering program. You can get involved in the arts and architecture. So pretty much whatever you are interested in, these are all housed in our academic colleges. So for example, if you are interested in aerospace engineering, that would be in our College of Engineering. So when you apply to Penn State, you would be applying into the specific college. If you are absolutely unsure of what you want to do, that's okay. I graduated and I'm still unsure of what I want to do. We have a division of undergraduate studies that is available to you to apply into. The undergraduate studies does about 2 years where you're taking exploratory classes, learning a little bit about yourself, and then at the end of your sophomore year, you officially declare your major. So pretty nice for those of you that don't really know what you want to do. Penn State, again, being a very large campus, we have to provide lots of opportunities for you all. So there are 1,200 different clubs and activities. 900 of those are just on University Park's campus alone. So lots of things all the way from sports to club sports, to, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought, to arts and theater. We have dance programs that are available, dance groups that are available for you all. We also have service organizations, Greek life, lots of things for you to get involved in at Penn State. One thing I like to note here is Penn State does host the largest student-run philanthropy in the entire world. Penn State Dance Marathon is extremely large. There are about 20,000 of our students that get involved in it each year, and it raises money for kids with pediatric cancer. So they raise about $10 million each year, and it is entirely dedicated to kids and families that are suffering from pediatric cancer. Penn State fosters diversity and inclusion. This is an initiative that has been happening, an ongoing process that's been happening throughout the years, but we are starting to move into more initiatives and more strategic plans to help foster this. As a student, if you are interested in getting involved in initiatives, students in undergraduate level are encouraged to get involved in lots of different programming and development that's happening here. All right, application process. What we need from you, we will need an online application through the Common App, the Coalition app, or the My Penn State website. Any way is good for us. We just recommend that you apply through one of those domains. After you complete your application, you will be prompted to create a My Penn State profile. So that profile is going to be your home base for all things Penn State. It'll also have your decision. So your decision will be posted here. The other important factor that it does have is your self-reported academic record. So many of us are doing where students will actually self-report themselves. So you are able to log on to that My Penn State profile, click the blue button, and report your 9th through 11th grade grades and then your 12th grade schedule. We are no longer accepting transcripts upon the initial review. We will ask your counselor once you're admitted into Penn State to submit those transcripts. But the Common App and the Coalition app both have a version of this. Penn State is not accepting that version, so you will have to do that extra step for Penn State. I saved the best for last. Penn State, for the summer and fall 2021 application season, decided to go test optional, as a lot of us are doing. For all of our programs, they are test optional except for our accelerated pre-medical program. So if you would like to submit your test scores, you can, but you do not have to. The only one that requires that, again, is our accelerated pre-medicine program. A lot of students will ask, like, well, should I submit my test scores? Should I not submit my test scores? Here is a great estimate of your eligibility for Penn State. If you are interested in that University Park campus, it is at the top bar. If you're interested in any of our other campuses, they are at the bottom bar there. So we always tell students if they look at their GPA and it definitely reflects within this middle 50%, but their SAT and ACT scores might not, then we say maybe you don't submit SAT or test scores. Maybe you just have us review just your high school record. If you find that your SAT and ACT scores do reflect here, then I would say absolutely submit your test scores. Any additional information is awesome for us. This is the middle 50%, so just keeping that in mind. There are students below this and there are students that are above this as well. Timeline for us, for seniors this year, our early action deadline was extended to November 15th. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to let me know. And right at the top bar there, we recommend that you submit your FAFSA by December 1st. Cost of Penn State for a non-Pennsylvania resident. So those of you North Carolina, South Carolina, you would be non-Pennsylvania residents. University Park is on the left-hand side. All of our other campuses are on the other side. This is an estimate, so it definitely gives you a consideration on what you would be investing. If you're looking to offset a little bit of the cost, sometimes a Commonwealth campus is a good option. And I pause so people can take pictures, changing to the next slide, 3, 2, 1. Last but not least, after talking about the big number there, it's always nice to hear about the return on investment, what makes Penn State unique. Penn State has the largest alumni network in the entire world. I myself am an alumni, and a lot of people that I know across the globe are alumni as well. We're one big family. We love to invite people in and create those relationships, make our network even bigger. So it's always nice when you're looking for jobs, internship opportunities. We do have lots and lots of alumni that are spread out across the globe to help with those employment opportunities. But it's also nice relationship-wise. It's nice to meet new friends, make new relationships and new networks with people. So when you're lonely in an airport, like some of us usually are when we're on the road, it's always nice to run into a Penn Stater or somebody that knows a Penn Stater. And on that note, I am going to stop talking and I'm going to turn it over to one of my colleagues to talk about their institution. I think, Trevor, you're up next.
Thanks, Jordan. I'm going to share my screen now. So when talking about Temple, I think the first thing to talk about is where we are. We're in Philadelphia. We are in the city. So we were founded in Philadelphia in 1884 by Russell Conwell as a night school. Our students were known as the Night Owls, and that's how we got our nickname, the Owls. We've certainly grown a lot since 1884. Temple College started with 7 students learning in the basement of what is now known as the Temple Performing Arts Center. And now we have just about 28,000 undergraduate students on our campus in North Philadelphia. We have over 150 undergraduate majors, so there's a lot that our students are doing, and they're separated out into one of our 12 undergraduate schools and colleges. So we have 17, including our 5 professional schools. But one thing that's nice for our students, it means that while we are a large institution, you can kind of break down the size of Temple in thinking of the university as kind of like a country, your school or college like a state, and then your specific program like a neighborhood. You're really going to get to know your people, the people that you're taking classes with in your program. You're going to have a lot in common with the people in your school or college, but there's a whole university's worth of people to get to know while you're on campus. Our student faculty ratio is 13-1. When we met with all of our schools and colleges over the summer, they stressed how important it was that students really feel comfortable in the classroom. And when you're thinking about, well, what classrooms am I going to be in? When students apply, they kind of fall into one of 3 tracks. There's the students who say, I know exactly what I want to study. So when they apply directly into their program. There's the students who say, I'm pretty sure I know what I want. I have a general idea, but I'm not entirely sure yet. All of our schools and colleges have undeclared programs within them. So students can say, I know I want to study something in the School of Business or something in the College of Liberal Arts, but I want to get to know my advisors and really figure out which program is perfect for me. And they have the opportunity to do that. And then our Division of University Studies is for students who are truly undeclared. So students who are trying to decide between 5 programs or all 150 if you're incredibly audacious, and really getting the opportunity to learn about all that Temple has to offer. Outside of what our students are doing in the classroom, we're also a Tier 1 research university. So we have a number of research opportunities for students, and certainly building relationships with professors is really helpful for that. We also have a lot of ways for students to get professional development at the undergraduate level. And I think that this is where our location in Philadelphia really begins to pay dividends. We have a campus, so when I'm walking from building to building, I don't feel like I'm in the city. I certainly know that I am, and maybe the buildings are a little bit taller, but it definitely is a college campus. And then we also, though, are bookended by 2 subway stops. So if students have an internship during the year, it's really easy for them to get to anywhere in Philadelphia from our campus. Or if students decide to stay in Philadelphia over the summer, they don't have to cut ties with an opportunity they had because it's very close by when they go back to school. And when students aren't in the classroom and they're not building on what they're doing outside of the classroom, we have over 350 clubs and organizations and 18 Division I athletic teams. So we really want students to find things to be involved in while they're on campus, be it being in shows, being in a bunch of different clubs, going to one of our number of Temple events that we have throughout the year. But then we also want them to be a part of the Philadelphia community. We have opportunities for students to get discounted tickets to local art museums or to go to the sporting events in Philadelphia. You know, I always think of it as you're not just going to school at Temple for 4 years, but you're living in Philly, and we really want students to be a part of that community. So there is a lot that our students are doing to be involved both on campus and off campus. In addition to being on our campus in North Philadelphia, there's a couple of campuses associated with the Temple experience. One is our Ambler campus, which is located about 40 minutes away from us. It is an arboretum. It is one of the most beautiful spaces you can go to as a Temple student. It's home to our landscape architecture and horticulture programs. There's also a number of programs that can be started and finished at Ambler. But for the most part, students are going out to Ambler to get away from the city for a little bit, study in nature. They have a lot of events out at Ambler, especially as the weather's nice. They have a brand new esports arena that they just built out there. So it's very convenient. We have a shuttle that runs from main campus and out to Ambler. Unfortunately, we don't have a shuttle that runs to our campuses in Rome and Tokyo. Our Rome and Tokyo campuses are exactly that. They're our campuses. You're going with Temple students, Temple professors, Temple-owned buildings, the same flags you'll see in Philly, you'll see in Italy and Japan. Our Japan campus is the oldest foreign degree granting university in Japan. So students can choose to go to TUJ for 4 years if they would like to. All the courses are taught in English. And our Rome campus has a brand new first-year entry program. So you can actually choose to go to Rome for your first year before transitioning back to Philly for the next 3 years. But if students want to go abroad to countries that aren't Italy or Japan, you can go to all of the yellow dots on this map, our partner programs that we have, including 3 programs in the US, in Washington, DC, New York City, and Los Angeles. Students, one of the nice things about Temple is not everyone is going abroad at the same time, especially in their junior year. A lot of students will go abroad in their sophomore year, or maybe at the beginning of their senior year, or summer programs as well. And it's really important to us that students are getting that abroad experience and taking and bringing it back with them when they come back to Philadelphia. But speaking of bringing things to Philadelphia, we should probably talk a little bit about the application process. We are a Common App exclusive school. So when you apply to Temple, you can do so either on the Common App website or on our website, admissions.temple.edu. After you submit your application, you will get an email to set up your TU portal. TU portal is your one-stop shop for the application process. It's where you'll submit your self-reported high school transcript. So we want to know what classes you've been taking, when you've been taking them, what level you've been taking them at, honors, AP, IB, and what grade you received. And then you can list your 12th grade courses as in progress. We are a test optional institution. We've been test optional for the last 5 years. So if I go to the next slide, 2 slides to our profile, we'll talk about deadlines in a second. These are the average GPA and average test scores for an accepted student from fall 2019. The average GPA was a 3.54 on a weighted 4.0 scale. The average SAT was a 1238 and the average ACT was a 27. Again, these are just averages. They are by no means baselines for students who are applying to Temple. But when students are thinking about applying without their test scores, I always say that if you feel like your standardized test scores are indicative of who you are as a student, then that's great, you can send them in. But if you don't, if you had a rough night before you took the SAT, or you really struggled taking the ACT, or you weren't able to sit for either of the exams given the situation with COVID-19, then you should apply without your standardized test scores. All students are considered for admission and the honors program when they apply to Temple. The honors program is a collection of resources on campus, things like priority registration for courses, access to additional advising, and you can see the profile for average profile for students accepted into the honors program on the screen. The Temple option is the name of our test optional route, and it says typically students are admitted without a 3.5 GPA or higher, but just like all of the other numbers on the slide, they are a nice picture to see, but they are by no means a guiding line. And then when you're thinking about when to apply to Temple, I mentioned we'd go back. Our early action deadline is November 1st, and students will receive a decision by January 10th. And then our regular decision deadline is February 1st, and students will receive a decision 4 to 8 weeks after we've received all the supporting documents. So that would be your application, your self-reported high school transcript, your standardized test scores if you would like to send them in, and then the application fee. We don't require letters of recommendation, but if you would like to send them in, we ask for no more than 2. When talking about tuition at Temple, we have differential tuition. So the base for out-of-state students is $28,992, but that will vary based on what you're studying. Tuition varies based on what school or college students are in. So if you go online to temple.edu/tuition calculator, you can say, I'm a first-year student, I'm applying from out of state, this is the program I'm interested in, and then it will say this is how much your tuition is. The top end of out-of-state tuition is just over $37,000 a year. And then the base on-campus housing and meals is just over $12,000, $12,188. We have guaranteed housing for first-year students as long as you pay the housing deposit by May 1st. And then all first-year students are required to have a meal plan. We know that college is an expensive endeavor. Our founder, Russell Conwell's goal for us was to provide an affordable and accessible education. One of the ways we work with students on that is by reviewing all students when they apply for a merit-based scholarship. These range from $1,000 up to full tuition. We want to make sure students are applying by February 1st to get the fullest consideration for scholarship, and you will be notified in your acceptance letter, which comes through that TU portal if you've received any aid. You can begin filing the FAFSA for Temple and for every school on October 1st, and our filing deadline is February 1st, and we also encourage students to look for outside scholarship opportunities. So our Student Financial Services website can be a great starting point. They have a lot of really great information on different types of aid that are available to prospective college students at sfs.temple.edu. And then when you come to Temple, you learn that Temple can go everywhere and owls are everywhere. Fly in 4 is a pretty new initiative we have where we work with students. Students sign an agreement saying, I'm going to do everything I have to do to graduate in 4 years, take all my requisite major courses, any possible minor courses that they have to take all their general education requirements. And then the university signs the agreement saying that they're going to make sure that students are able to take all those courses. If something happens that prevents a student from graduating in 4 years that Temple could control, Temple will pay for that student's 5th year. Scholarships and aid run out after 4 years. We don't want that for our students. And Fly in 4 is really kind of a map of how to navigate your Temple experience within a 4-year time frame. And when you're preparing to graduate, you'll likely be connected with the over 149,000 Temple alums in the Philadelphia area. While we say that owls are everywhere, I can tell you that it is borderline impossible to avoid Temple when you're in Philadelphia. From walking around on the weekends, I'm always seeing Temple gear, Temple clothes, people watching Temple sporting events. And it's really, I think, a great sign of how important the city is to the university and how cohesive the two are. When students graduate, they love to stay in Philadelphia because they've built such a strong relationship with the city and with the university. And then they're able to support current Temple students. And that builds a relationship where then our students are able to bring those experiences to their peers who are still on campus. That was a lot of information. I will now turn it over to, I will stop sharing my screen and I will turn it over to
Thanks, Trevor. Let me make sure I get this up and running here. I do see that we have some questions rolling in. So once I do my quick spiel, then we will make sure to answer those questions. So I didn't want you to think that we forgot about you. But I'm just going to give a brief overview here of the University of Pittsburgh first. And then we will go ahead and get to the questions. I always love technology. Okay, so University of Pittsburgh, founded in 1787, one of the oldest institutions in the entire country. We have 19,000 full-time undergraduates with a 14-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Of course, Division I athletics, ACC, most people in North and South Carolina know us from that, sharing the football and basketball and other sports arenas with your schools there in North and South Carolina. Of course, also a major Tier 1 research institution. I always like to point out we have Jonas Salk there in the bottom, who came up with the polio vaccine. And of course, we are, if you've heard the news, we're currently working with the COVID-19 vaccine, actually developed an antibody that does look to be successful. So excited to continue the tradition of Jonas Salk. We are an urban campus with a diverse student body with students from all 50 states and over 100 different countries. Describe our students as passionate, compassionate, and collaborative. And we have a network of over 300,000 alumni, including myself. Now, we are located in Oakland, which is a neighborhood of the city of Pittsburgh. So if you look at this slide, and you can see, of course, the Cathedral of Learning, which is one of our main academic buildings on campus. And then if you look to the right, you'll see a black skyscraper. That is downtown. So we are about 3 miles from downtown Pittsburgh. Pitt students get to utilize public transportation for free, so they have full access to everything that the city of Pittsburgh offers, in addition to everything that it is located in Oakland, which is the University of Pittsburgh. We're also bookended by 2 other colleges, Carnegie Mellon University on one side and Carlow University, which is a small Catholic private school, on the other side. So many college students just right in this small condensed area. And as of course I showed you before, but this is always in my slide, just to give you an idea of where we are in relation to North and South Carolina. My parents actually live in Charlotte, North Carolina, going there in 2 weeks. So very familiar with making that drive. It's usually, depending on how fast you go and what the weather's like, it can be between 7 and 8 hours. Very easy to fly from South and North Carolina as well. We're about a 25-minute drive from the Pittsburgh International Airport. And because you get to utilize public transportation for free, you can easily go ahead and hop on a bus from the airport and get out to campus. So easy to get from the South to the University of Pittsburgh. We also have a very strong network of alums in North Carolina. Lots of transplants from the city of Pittsburgh and Pitt grads that move down to the great state of North Carolina. So you'll be in good company if you decide to live there after graduation. Here is, of course, you know, the city of Pittsburgh. We always like to say the city is our campus. It's kind of cheesy, but with the access to the buses, it's so easy to take advantage of everything that the city offers, which includes internship opportunities, job opportunities, sports, etc. And it's just such a beautiful city. So I always like to show that to you. Of course, you're going to college for academics. So let me tell you about the academics at Pitt. When you're coming to Pitt as a first-year student, you're going to be picking between one of the 5 first-year entry schools. And of course, this is really small print, so I don't expect you to look on here and try to, you know, furiously find the major that you're listening in, but just more to give you an idea of everything that we offer, that we have a wide breadth and variety. So over 100 different majors. Our students are pursuing multiple areas of study, you know, whether it's a major, a minor, or certificate, a double major, a major, and a certificate, doing programs across different undergraduate schools at Pitt. There's so many different options and lots of flexibility. We also have our upper level programs. These are different than first year, where you would actually apply to these programs as a current Pitt student and then finish out your degree if you are selected to enroll in one of these programs. We also have an honors college, of course, Pitt Honors. As for students who want to take it to the next level, a community of scholars who cross boundaries. They offer their own honors supplemental advising, research opportunities, housing, priority registration, and a formal mentorship program. They also help our students compete for national awards like Fulbright, Goldwater, Rhodes. Pitt's actually a top university for Fulbright winners for the past decade. So we are successful in helping our students compete and be selected for these international scholarship awards. Now, if you applying through Pitt Honors through a regular application process, it'll just ask you, are you interested in applying for Pitt Honors? And then it'll bring up a short answer question that we want you to answer. And we always want to let students know that the selection is based heavily on your essay response. So you'll want to answer that essay as if it's the most important part in the selection process. The question is, if you could change anything in the world, what would it be? Explain why and how you would change it. And we're looking for that to be brief, 500 words or less. So as long as you answer that you'd like to be reviewed for Pitt Honors and you answer the question, you will be automatically reviewed for admission to the honors program. We also have our guaranteed admissions program. So if you're already thinking about that next level, about going on to graduate school, we can review you now as an incoming freshman for admission to one of these programs. Again, the application will ask you, would you like to be reviewed for any of our guaranteed admissions programs and which one? So again, no additional steps. We will let you know if you're qualified. You're not committed to this graduate program in any way. It's just let you know they have an additional option. Of course, probably one of our most popular, which also is probably pretty popular at Penn State too, is the med school guarantee. That is additional process. So you will apply to Pitt and then we will let you know based on your initial application materials if you've been selected to compete. If so, we will alert you and let you know of some additional information you would need to submit. Then from there, the med school will invite students on campus to interview. And then from the interviewees, there'll typically be about 12 students selected for the med school guarantee. So the other graduate school guarantees are not quite as competitive, but just to give you an idea, if you're interested in the med school guarantee, there will be additional steps in that process. Now you're going to spend about 80% of your time at college outside of the classroom. So what are you going to be doing? What you're going to be doing at Pitt most likely that's going to supplement your academic experiences is participating in undergraduate research. You can start participating in research as early as spring semester freshman year. You're going to be participating in internships. We do have an internship guarantee, so we want to make sure all of our students have that hands-on experience as part of their undergraduate curriculum, and also potentially participating in study abroad. Of course, in addition to all that, you have your 400 plus student organizations, that activities that are offered in Oakland where Pitt's located, and then of course everything that the city offers. Now, if you decide Pitt is it for you and you do want to go ahead and apply, you can apply through the Coalition app, the Common Application, or the application on our website, just like Penn State, doesn't matter which one, whatever works best for you. You will apply to one of those first year entry schools. So the Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences, Pitt Business, Pitt Engineering, School of Computing and Information, or the School of Nursing. Test scores are optional this year for every program except for our School of Nursing. So if you are interested in Pitt School of Nursing, you will be required to submit test scores. And you'll also want to go ahead for all applicants to do the self-reported academic records. So glad that all of us are doing the self-reported academic records to make it a little bit easier for students. And then you can submit supplemental information in the forms of recommendation letters, activities list, resume, anything you think will help the admissions committee get to know you better, you can certainly submit, especially now that we are test score optional. Any additional information you can get to us will be helpful in the admissions review process. We also ask that you respond to 2 of our short answer questions. The 4 of them are listed here, not required for general admission, but if you are interested in our merit-based scholarships, we will be required for that review. And also if you are applying test optional or really just in general, this is your opportunity to speak directly to the admissions committee. I always give the advice if you were able to have an interview, which unfortunately with 30,000 applications, we can't offer interviews. But if you were able to have an interview, what would you want to say to the admissions committee? We already have your high school academic information, so we don't need you to rehash that. What else would you want to tell us? And you can utilize the short answer questions to do so. Typically responses to this 250 to 500 words per question. So we're definitely looking for quality over quantity. We do review all applicants automatically for merit-based scholarships as long as you apply by December 15th and respond to at least 2 of the short answer questions. We will let you know by March 1 if you're selected to receive a merit-based scholarship. You don't have to do anything separately for these merit-based scholarships. We also have a scholarship database called Pitt Funds Me that is for all Pitt students. Once a student's been offered admission, they'll have access to Pitt Fund Me, and these are vetted scholarship opportunities that you'll fill out a profile for within the system, and it'll match you with any additional scholarship opportunities that could be provided for you. We always encourage all students to fill out the FAFSA. Want to let you know that we do offer institutional grants to out-of-state students so that you have the opportunity for that to fund your Pitt education. We're also the first school in the country to offer a Pell Grant match. So if you receive the federal Pell Grant, Pitt will match that in an institutional grant. And we also have a Pitt Success Grant. So many different opportunities for our students to receive additional need-based funding in the form of grants. Now, Pitt's a great value. We're one of the top colleges that pay you back. When I mentioned research before, we're in the top 4 for National Institutes of Health funding. We do have a 94% placement rate for our graduates, so either going directly onto graduate school or going into the workforce within 6 months of graduation. And we're ranked as the #1 public university in the Northeast. We are rolling admissions, so a little bit different than our peers here. So we are reviewing applications. The application opened on August 1. We have some students who've already received an admissions decision. So with rolling admissions, we do encourage students to apply early. As the year goes on, spaces will fill up, admission will become more competitive. With rolling admissions though, unfortunately, we do have some deadlines to keep in mind. If you're interested in the med school guarantee, we need a completed application by November 1. The Pitt honors deadline is December 1, scholarship deadline December 15th. If you're interested in the physician assistant guarantee, January 15th. And May 1 is the deadline to commit to Pitt. No advantage to committing early, even though of course we'd love for you to commit early, but just so you know, you have plenty of time if you apply early in the process before you'd have to make a formal commitment to Pitt. And that's me. I always like to point out there the H2P at the bottom, that means Hail to Pitt. If you meet any Pitt alums, that's how we greet each other. That's how we sign off on emails. That's how we sign off on our voicemail. So basically it means, hey, I love it here. I love this school, and I'm proud to have go here. So with that, oh, and I always like to point out the Pitt Band's picture. I'm a Pitt Band alum. So much school spirit at Pitt, and the Pitt Band is a great tradition. So with that, I will say hail to Pitt, and then we will go ahead. We'll stop sharing my screen and we will hit some of these questions that we have. So what I'll do is we'll just go in order of how we presented. I'll just have Jordan answer, Trevor answer, and then myself answer. So first question we have is, here in North Carolina, most of our publics are waiving the test scores. In P, are we doing that? And what is the percentage of out-of-state applications versus acceptance and enrollment? So go ahead, Jordan.
Sure. So yeah, you saw in our presentation, we aren't specifically waiving test scores, but you can opt to submit them or you can opt to not submit them. It is completely up to you. That is test optional for you all. If a student does, let's say they wanted to submit their test scores, but unfortunately they had their SAT or ACT canceled, email me and I can direct you and we can work with you on a case-by-case basis. We understand those circumstances. And then the second question, what is the percentage of out-of-state? So percentage of out-of-state, I guess you're getting at, are we reviewing you the same as we would an in-state student? The answer to that is yes. You are reviewed very similarly to our in-state students. Most of our students are in-state specifically because of the in-state cost. So that's just something that we have. About 60% of our students are in-state, and then the rest are either out-of-state or international students. Good question.
I'm in a very similar boat to Jordan. We're test optional. It's called the Temple option. So that's what you'll see on the application. That's how it's worded. And similarly, if students have a situation where they weren't able to take the SAT or ACT, but they had been planning on it, they can always reach out to me and I'm always happy to work with them. About 70% of our student body is from Pennsylvania. So I think it's like 68%. And then the other percentage is out of state and international students. We also don't review students any differently coming from in-state or out of state. So it really, we love to see any students from North and South Carolina interested, and I'm always happy to work with them on that.
Very similar. We are test optional. So again, it's up to the student if they'd like to submit the test scores or not, except for nursing. That is the only school that does require test scores. If a student is in the situation where, again, they were completely unable to take a test and they're still interested in applying to Pitt Nursing, we can take that request to the admissions committee and see if they are able to review you without the test score. But for nursing, because it is so competitive, just realistically, you want to keep in mind that that may not be an option, but we are trying to be as flexible as possible. Just like my peers, we review students the same whether they're from inside the state of Pennsylvania or outside the state of Pennsylvania. But we're creeping closer and closer and tipping over to the other side of having more students from outside of the state of Pennsylvania. So right now it's close to split, but we are getting further towards having more students that come from outside Pennsylvania. Okay, so we got that one done. So also, what other public schools do you cross applications with within your state and in the Southeast if possible? All right, go ahead, Jordan.
I'm not sure if I fully understand this question. If we cross applications with, Carrie, maybe you understand this question a little bit better.
Well, I would say one of the biggest ones that we cross applications with is Penn State, obviously, Pitt and Penn State. In the Southeast, the schools that typically, the students that are looking at Pitt are also looking at, Duke, NC State, UNC Chapel Hill. Those are typically, Clemson, USC. Those are the ones in the Southeast that we're typically having some overlap with our applicants who are also applying to Pitt.
I think we have some crossover with Penn State, but a lot of students who are applying to Temple are also applying to universities in Philadelphia. So it's usually more of the private schools. I don't know off the top of my head what schools we cross over with in the southern states, unfortunately, but I definitely think it's usually students looking for an urban institution when talking about what they're looking at when they're applying to Temple.
Okay, I think I fully understand now. So I guess for Penn State, again, it kind of depends. I don't know specifically what students are applying to what schools, but students that want a large public institution is typically where you would be falling. So University of South Carolina, Clemson, those big schools are definitely similar to Penn State.
Any funky new majors or any new construction going on your campus?
There's always construction on Penn State's campus. So we have no funky new majors, I would say, nothing new. We did actually nationally athletic training went into a master's degree. So you are required, we got rid of that undergraduate degree. So for those of you interested in athletic training, we are going to push you towards our kinesiology major, and then you would move forward with an athletic training master's. Construction, we are redoing all of our residence halls. So our East halls, which is where all the freshmen live, are done. So as of 2019, y'all have air conditioning, so yay. But we are moving towards our North halls, then West, and we'll move in a big circle. So that's the only construction I can think of, other than our business building is getting renovated as well.
We just finished for fall 2019 our new library. So what's actually really nice about it is it's predominantly student workspaces and collaboration spaces. We have a book bot, so almost all of our books are, there's a robot that you can request the book, and you can actually, there's a window you can see the robot get the books, which is very cool and very easy to nerd out about. But it's mostly designed to be a place where students can study and work on group projects. So it's a really great addition. It's right in the heart of campus.
We have, I always want to say, people joke about the state of Pennsylvania flower is an orange traffic cone. So there's always construction no matter where you go. Pitt is definitely no exception. There's the master plan over the next 5 years is really going to transform campus. Additional residence halls, things like that. Our newest major that I think is kind of funky is digital narrative and interactive design. I had to actually look up the major to make sure I said it right, but that's within our School of Computing Information. So with the changing landscape and technology, I think that'll be a great addition to our academic programs. Next question, do you accept dual enrollment credit from our local community colleges in North Carolina? Jordan?
Yeah, so I want to be respectful of time. We have about 2 minutes, Carrie, so maybe we do one more question after this so we can get those questions answered. But to answer this, yes, we do accept dual enrollment courses. You can look at our transfer credit tool on Penn State. You could just Google it, and we can let you know what credits will transfer over into Penn State credits.
Yep, we're in a very similar boat. We'll take credits from any accredited 2 or 4 year institution, and it's usually a C or better. And we have a transfer equivalency tool that is a database of courses students have transferred over in the past that you can look at.
Same thing, Pitt will take those credits as well. Yeah, we only have a couple seconds. So I just want to mention the weather because that is always a big thing. My parents live in Charlotte, and they say they're true Southerners now because they've adjusted. It snows here and it gets cold here, but I think it's doable. And the barbecue question is a great question. I'm gonna say Philly is probably the better place for barbecue than State College or Pittsburgh. We have great food in Pittsburgh. We've been named as one of the top foodie cities, but I have to say, to be transparent, barbecue is probably one of the areas that we're lacking, unfortunately.
That's really the benefit of being in a big city. You can find almost any type of food somewhere within Philadelphia. You will be able to find good barbecue.
Yeah, Temple's definitely got us beat on that. I'll admit it.
Yeah, the most Penn State can offer is ice cream. That's about it.
Okay, yeah, I think it's almost 3:45. I think we tried to get most questions answered, but of course you have all of our contact information if anything else comes up, but we do really appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, presenters, for joining us today. When you close this window, you will be sent a short link to a quick 4-question survey. We'd really appreciate if you'd fill this out and give our presenters some feedback. Also, this is just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to check out the CACRAO website for additional sessions to be a part of. That's CACRAO.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session along with many others that have been recorded will be up on the CACRAO website as well. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.